In the world of Hollywood, movies get greenlit and redlit. They get remade and rebooted. But we are the Ideal. I'm Sam Gasch, and you are listening to Ideal Remake. Thunder, lightning, very, very frightening. We were watching Big Trouble in Little China, and joining me today are Robert Paterno and Justus Perry. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
You forgot rain.
It's not in
There's 3 storms.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's like worse than whitewashing. It's just like erasing.
Well, I mean, it's white outing.
That's true. Rain never spoke anyway.
No. He was the pretty one whose powers were the best, but then his weapon was the worst.
Yeah.
Was he the one whose weapon was the back scratcher? No, his weapon was the spinny thingy.
That was Storm.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Thunder.
So
Carter Wong.
Lightning's was like he put his hands up and had just like these little metal things that just spun really fast. I'm like, that just seems dangerous for you.
Like a Cuisinart.
Yeah, a Cuisinart.
Like double-handed Cuisinarts.
So, sorry, before I do anything else, Justus, why don't you say stuff about yourself and welcome to the show?
Yeah, hi, my name is Justus Perry. I'm 35. No, I'm 34. I don't know how old I am. I'm 34 years old. That's what happens when you have a kid, is you just like, I know I'm aging, but I have no idea how rapidly. Yeah, and I think I'm the only one on the show that likes this movie.
Yeah. It's going to be great. We're going to have an amazing time.
It definitely needs changing, but I like this movie.
Robert, tell us about yourself.
Oh, well, before we do that, Justus, because listeners, Justus and I have never met until today.
That's right.
I'd like to know a little bit more about my co-guest?
Justus, I met you through we were on a short form improv team for a year and a half, 2 years?
About 2 years, I would say, yeah. Back when I was still living in LA, and we got along famously, and I would go over to your house for game nights, and
That's right.
That was a lot of fun. And and we've known each other for, I guess we met around 2012, 2013, so yeah, somewhere between 5 and 7 years.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
And I'm slowly trying to work my way through everyone who is on that team just because I think they're all cool people. And Justus actually lives in, I want to say, Philadelphia.
Nope, I'm in Salem, Massachusetts, a place where one of your other movies that you've changed up, Hocus Pocus, takes place.
I want to say Baltimore.
You can say Baltimore, it won't make it true.
Before you left LA, did you ever go see the Hocus Pocus house when it was...
I did not.
At all? Missing out. All right, never mind. Oh, cool. So what do you do in Salem? Like, what do you do for work and stuff? We know you do comedy, so what other things make up Justus?
Yeah, I'm still doing some acting stuff. I'm a company member with a popular community theater out in Massachusetts called Flat Earth Theater, and I'm the producer for a YouTube channel called Mr. Mobile. So like and subscribe, smash that subscribe button if you like mobile technology, because we're the best.
You said a lot of interesting things just then, but I feel like both Robert and I paused on the name of the theater.
Flat Earth Theater, yes. It was before Flat Earthers ironic? Became a thing. Yeah, it was before Flat Earthers became a thing again. Yeah, it's not. We are not science deniers. In fact, we do a lot of science-based plays that are. We're actually going to be performing something called Delicate Particle Logic, which I swear to God, I'm involved in the theater, but I have no idea what it's about at the moment. But I know it's something about. Otto Preminger? I can't remember exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know what any of those things are, but it sounds great.
My mind is blown.
Yeah.
My mind is blown.
But yeah, really, it's a good theater. We've won a lot of awards, and I'm very pleased. And now I want to hear about you, sir.
As he takes a sip of water at the exact right time.
Yeah. My name's Robert Paterno. I am a newly minted 40-year-old as of 2 days ago.
Congratulations.
2 days of this recording, I guess. I know Sam through improv comedy, through Laughtivism, specifically.
Nope. That's not where we met.
Oh no, that's not where we met. We did a play, like the first play I did out here in LA.
It was also the first play I did out here. Well, it's the first actual play I did out here.
Yeah,
the Misanthrope.
Yeah, that was an interesting time. Something died under the stage at one point.
A rat died in the walls, and it took them a day or two to get rid of it. And it oh god, I don't know if you've ever smelled death, but
I have.
It was like literal. Yeah, that's right. And then we reconnected through improv comedy, through Laughtivism, which was not defunct, but now it's just kind of shifted. Social justice focused sketch and improv comedy group. And so yeah, I'm not as big as we're speaking right now. Justus's hand is over the camera. It just makes me curious as to what's happening on the other end.
Yeah, just don't worry about it.
Just want to make sure everybody's okay. So I'm an actor and a teaching artist out here in Los Angeles. I've been here about 7.5 years. From Houston originally. And yeah, I do a lot of theater work as a teaching artist with The Unusual Suspects and the Geffen Playhouse, working with a lot of underserved populations, doing theater outreach and arts education. Have my own podcast on hiatus called Representation, where it's a similar model, I think, to what you do. It's we examine television and film through the lens of inclusion and representation. So we'll take a show or a movie and we'll talk about it through that lens, what they did well, what we think they missed, and things that we hope for. Things that we want more of, especially for like television shows. What does the next season hold? Like, what do we want to see more of that in either category?
Great. Well, that's part of the reason why I wanted to have you on. Originally, Big Trouble in Little China was on my short list of movies, which has gotten a lot longer, that I kind of wanted to do for the show. And Justus was really interested because he grew up loving this movie. He saw it as a kid, I think.
I have a funny story about the first time I saw it. I was for the young ones out there, there used to be these things where you could places you could go where you could rent movies, and the
like a Redbox.
Yeah, similar to a Redbox, except that it was like a building sized Redbox. And one day my mom sent me, was like, "Why don't you go rent a movie?" And I was like maybe 10 at the time, and I went in, and so they were showing Big Trouble in Little China on just the television in the rental place, and it had just started, and I was like, I don't know what this is, and I stood there and I watched the entire movie. It's like an hour and a half long. About 45 to minutes to an hour into it, a friend of mine came in and was like, "Dude, where have you been? Your mom was sent me to go and find you," and he stayed and finished the movie with me.
So your mom lost 2 kids.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
amazing.
It's not just that she didn't just lose her own kid, but somebody else's.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was the first time I watched this movie, and so it has like a very special place in my heart just because of that story.
Good. Well, that's great, and I wanted to talk about this movie, but it was important to me because it's a movie called Big Trouble in Little China that Justus and I, 2 white dudes, maybe also find someone of Asian descent to talk about this. And I knew Robert, you're not Chinese.
Not Chinese.
You're no.
Disclaimer.
I know that, but I also know that you're a big advocate for representation, and your bench of people to pull in for a movie like this will be deeper than mine, because I had a lot of trouble recasting this movie. It was not helped by the fact that the last episode I recorded was Mortal Kombat.
You didn't just pull everybody from that?
I intentionally pulled no one from that. So I made my life harder. Plus, a lot of people I used for that weren't necessarily Chinese either. Because that's just... Because you needed... It was a whole thing.
Yeah.
If you want to know more about why I cast the people I cast for that, listen to episode 28? Listen to the Mortal Kombat episode.
Yeah, the one that has Mortal Kombat in the title.
Yeah, it's great. I talk about Mortal Kombat. Who doesn't want to talk about that? And so so that's kind of why I wanted your perspective and opinion on this movie. Had you seen this movie before?
I had. Thinking back, I don't have like a really like strong memory of when I watched it or like how I felt about it. I know that I haven't like rewatched. I've watched it maybe twice since the first time I saw it, which I'm pretty sure was in theaters. I'm pretty sure I saw it in the theater because I just remember. I always remember the scene where he's firing the machine gun. Mm-hmm. And
he knocks
himself out. I always remember that scene because I was like, ha,
that's a good scene. I like that scene.
But yeah, I don't have like I've never had like a super strong connection to this film. And then I rewatched it in advance of the podcast, and we'll get more into it as we discuss it. But I have I wish I had as cool a story as Justus does about it, but I don't.
I've mentioned this before on the podcast, but there are a lot of movies that I have not seen just because when I was growing up, I was never like, my parents were never like, we should show Sam these movies because it's important. That was never our like kind of family. And so since moving to LA, I have some friends who do movie nights of movies Sam hasn't seen, and this was one of those movies. So I saw this movie for the first time 2 years ago, max. And I remember part of the impetus for us watching this movie was we watched it with me and we watched it with our other friend Andrew because Cam wanted to get Andrew high in order to have him watch this movie because this movie is so batshit crazy.
It's pretty nuts.
It's wild.
Yes, you guys can swear on this, by the way. And so I watched this movie and I didn't enjoy it for, I'm sure, a lot of the reasons Robert's going to say. It's sexist, it's racist, and I get that it's campy and satire, but when someone walks in and says, my name is don't worry, my name's Gracie Law, I'm the lawyer, and then just like goes about with the scene, I recoil from horror deep inside. Just the writer in me weeps. And then when her friend Marjorie comes along and goes, I really hope we get this story. It's my big break. I weep. But I then, like, halfway through the movie realized it was only the women saying those lines.
Yeah, it's got a lot of, like, while I love this movie, it has a lot of problems. And it is impossible to watch this movie without seeing all of them.
Well, I equate this movie with something like Buckaroo Banzai, which is another movie that I actually watched for the first time for the show, and so we talked about that movie back in February or something. And side note, Justus, I'm going to have Gene Gabriel on the show at some point, and that was the first movie he requested. And I was like, sorry, Gene. It's one of those movies where it's so bananas, hard to handle.
Yeah, I mean, like if you... Yeah. It opens with Egg Shen in a lawyer's office, and like he's telling the story. They never return to that scene.
Never come back to that.
Yeah, never come back.
Lawyer.
It's completely just thrown away. Yeah. I don't know, because I watched it like 2 or 3 weeks ago just to refresh myself, and then I was trying to remember a couple of things, and I started it up again, and I then opened that scene, and I was like, what is this? Why are they talking about this? It is not like... I love John Carpenter. He's made some amazing movies, but he is very much hit and miss. And this, I mean, like between like this and They Live, but you know, on the opposite end, there's like I love The Thing and I love Halloween.
Oh my god!
Yeah, like Halloween and The Thing are like two of my favorite movies because they're actually good, and this is. I love this movie not because it's in any way perfect.
Yeah. If you want to find out more about They Live, tune into episode They Live of the Ideal Remake podcast.
Yeah.
Like interesting connection. So W.D. Richter, who was the script doctor for Big Trouble in Little China. Because originally there were two guys, I can't remember their names, but they're like they pitched this script and everybody hated it. It was like a Western originally, and so Richter set it to a contemporary time. He was the screenwriter for Buckaroo Banzai.
Really? That
also,
makes so much sense.
And The Golden Child, which I think also featured Victor Wong and James Hong, who play Egg Shen and Lo Pan in this film, are also in The Golden Child, which is also set in a Chinatown with a non-Asian protagonist, quote unquote protagonist, Eddie Murphy. They were set that they were released like 5 months apart because there was a big push to get this movie out before Golden Child, because they were like, oh well, if Golden Child gets out with fucking Eddie Murphy, we're like dead in the water.
Makes
like
sense.
We're never gonna make more money than, and they ended up not making a bunch of money anyway because it like was a huge bomb. But
according to IMDb Pro, the budget for this movie was $25 million. Opening
like
weekend,
11.
they made $2.7 million. And so the overall gross was $11 million.
Yeah.
So it didn't even make back half its budget.
Huge bomb.
That is a genuine flop.
Yeah.
And yet people love this movie. Like, I kept mentioning, oh, I'm going to be recording Big Trouble in Little China. Oh, I'm going to be recording Big Trouble in Little China. And a lot of people kept going, I love that movie. A lot of white people kept saying, I love that movie.
But, well, I will say this. One thing that I do like, because I'm filtering this kind of through this discussion through the framework of the podcast that I do with my partner Mary Ellen.
Sure.
One thing that I really did a couple of things, and although in the marketing it doesn't do this, but like in the storytelling, Kurt Russell's not really the hero of this movie.
Yeah.
Like, he ends up being like the face of the film, and no one knows who Dennis Dunn is.
But if anything, Kurt Russell's the comedic sidekick.
Yeah, very much so, and it was done very intentionally, and I thought it was done very well.
I'll agree with that.
So I do appreciate that, and there were, including the lawyer at the beginning, who we never see again. There are only, if I remember correctly, you only see 4 white characters on screen ever.
Yeah.
In this entire film. Now, that's juxtaposed against like there's like just like these masses of just like street gangs that just come out of nowhere. But whatever. But still. And also the majority of Asian characters in this film, I think, except really for Lo Pan and Egg Shen, but Egg Shen less so, no one's speaking in a dialect, right? There's no like forced kind of like oh well, he's Chinese, so he must be, everyone just sounds like a Chinese American person who lives in America.
I think that another exception to that is Thunder, but I think
Thunder, yeah. The magical characters, I kind of, there's a removal
they're
there.
people from an old world, literally.
Yeah, which that's. I was thinking that and was like, well, that I can live with that.
Sure,
but those are two things that I really.
But it's not like he's going around with Short Round.
Yeah. Oh.
But with that in mind, I mean, we can and probably will talk about a lot of the problems with this movie, but Justus, talk to us about like the things that you loved about this movie. Like, you saw it for the first time as a kid.
Yeah,
what happened?
I get the feeling like it has a lot of the same things where, like, if you are an older person and you watch The Goonies now, it doesn't have that same resonance.
Correct.
Most of the people I know who like watched the Goonies when they were in their late 20s were like, what was so good about this movie? But at the same time, I'm like, oh, it's fantastic. It's The Goonies. Of course you love it. I think it just has one of those like fantastically weird things that you really enjoy when you're a kid, but it doesn't necessarily translate when you're an adult. But I don't know. I also like, I really love the production value in this movie still. I think they've really put thought into, I mean, like the like neon demon insanity that's going on underground is fantastic. The weird monster that they introduce briefly is really well done, and
the Beholder.
Yeah.
The weird
Beholder. Beholder.
The sewer monster, right? That's
the sewer monster
truck at the end.
Oh yeah, the one that just eats that random guy and is gone.
Yeah, and then he's hiding in the back of the.
Oh no, I'm not even talking about that guy. It's when they're sneaking in, the giant.
Like the big like worm thing.
Yeah, it shows up, eats a guy, gone.
That's it.
And then there's the weird like demonic monster thing.
Yeah, like the sort of unhinged insanity is fantastic, I think.
I mean, this is $25 million in 1986. That's a huge budget for a movie.
Man, give me $25 million now to make a movie, and I'll be very pleased.
I will make 5 movies.
Yeah. But man, it still holds up for me just because I like looking at it and being like, this is crazy and I can't believe it was ever made.
And to Robert's point, I don't necessarily have a problem with any of the performances, barring one. But it's just like some of the lines that these people are saying, because every single person in this movie is 100% committing to everything they do.
Yes.
Even if they have to say something ridiculous, they're saying the ridiculous thing, and they're going whole hog on it, and it's amazing.
And they say a lot of ridiculous things in this movie. And it's, like, nobody's winking at the camera, everybody's just committed, and I always appreciate something when it can go as balls to the wall as this movie does.
And I agree with that. I totally respect and appreciate that they were willing to go that far.
Yes.
And I also kind of appreciate that it slowly ramps up. We get from the beginning when Egg Shen is being interviewed that we're about to enter a magical world. And that magic slowly gets ramped up over the course of the movie. I feel like finally juxtaposing when Lo Pan and Egg Shen are kind of having their laser battle.
Oh my god, I forgot about that too.
Their force battle.
Yeah, their force battle. Their I see your force is as big as mine. Let's see how you handle it moment. And to the point where all of a sudden but if anything, I feel like it peaks too early, because I feel like it peaks with that battle, and then they've got nowhere to go, because then Lo Pan dies with a dagger to the forehead.
Yeah, it's the most ridiculous death for somebody who's basically just had their own Gundam show up that they could fight. Their magic Gundam show up.
Basically.
Yeah.
And then Thunder's so upset that he pops.
Yeah.
That's weird.
That was so weird. I'd forgotten that part. And one thing that I will that is problematic for me in the ending is that I don't have a problem with Jack Burton ending up being the quote unquote hero because he's the one who kills Lo Pan. It's the fact that he was so capable in doing so that bothered me, because like all throughout the movie he's kind of bumbling through, and like I don't know, it kind of lost something for me at the end that he got to be the guy, like I did it. Like and he doesn't, like, the character doesn't like take a bunch of credit for it or anything, like, and I thought that was actually a really like kind of nuanced, well done part of the filmmaking.
In his defense, it is his second kill of the movie. I mean, other than all of like the mindless things, because his first kill of the movie is actually pretty slick, where like the guy's coming to kill him and he kicks the knife through his boot.
But he gets stuck under him.
Oh, yeah.
They turn a cool looking kill into something bumbling, but that was a pretty slick move.
No, it was great, and I think it was intentional that it turned into a moment of bad luck for him. He was like, and then his success immediately turned into a problem.
But can we talk about his character for a second, because he's also clearly insane, right?
Yeah, he's so like crazy macho and like over the top American, and I have something like my choice for casting him depends on like changing the character a lot. I assume that's probably the same thing for a lot of you guys, but it maintains that sort of over the top macho-ness that he has. Yeah.
Oh,
is that where are we at that part of the discussion?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think I kind of threw away some of the over-the-top machiness, but we'll get to that. But I meant more like we first see him talking into his like ham radio at
CB,
no one, or CB radio at no one. Is like, hey, I assume people are listening to this. Let me tell you about all of my opinions on things.
Oh, well, let me tell you what
other
old Jack Burton thinks.
Just talking to other truckers on the road who might be.
But are they? Do people do that? Do people want that?
As I understand, in the 80s, that was a thing.
I get that that's early podcasting. I get that.
Yeah.
I respect that that's early podcasting.
I think my only understanding of it is actually through TV and movies.
Fair.
But, truckers, because they're out there late at night, and just chattering to see if someone comes back, or like Jack Burton, just like fucking bored off his ass and wants to, monologue,
Yeah.
soliloquize, because he has nothing else to do and needs to stay awake.
But then my next question about Jack Burton is if he spent all of the movie just like misogynizing this poor woman, just whose actress name I'm escaping. I want to say it's Kim Cattrall.
It's Kim Cattrall, yeah.
Control, yeah.
And then at the very end, he gets to, for some reason, all of a sudden she's into it, and then he just says, "Nah, I'm not going to kiss the girl," and he just pieces out. People don't really like me. I to this moment still don't know how I feel about that, because it's both a subversion of expectations, which I always think is interesting, but then it's not for a reason that I like. So, like, Justus, what do you... What have you always thought about, like, that? Because I imagine if you saw it as a kid, he was like, good, he didn't kiss the girl, they had cooties, or what did you think?
Oh, I was always a romantic at heart. But, no, I like it now because I look at them as, like, these characters clearly don't work together, and whatever attraction they have, they realize that, and they decide to go their separate ways after just that one kiss, and that seems more than reasonable to me.
That's fair. I'll give that to you.
Yeah.
I think for me, I think it's this idea that this super capable lawyer, like, all of a sudden is just like, okay, I'm just gonna, like, release myself into this, and into the arms.
I forgot that Gracie Law was a lawyer.
Yeah, like, into the arms of this bumbling fool. I mean, this
Literal
heroic
buffoon.
guy, and like that was I don't know, that was the disconnect for me. And so I'm with you, Sam. Like, I appreciate that that's how it ended, but that he got to make that decision and not her was the thing that was problematic for me. Like she was the one that was like, oh, it's unrequited. Like, why?
Yeah, I will definitely say is like not as good.
Because she's like all doe-eyed in the corner and he just walks away, and so like we're left with the narrative is that
Poor Kim
like,
Cattrall.
Women need saving. Mm-hmm. Fucking lawyers.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about that. What was she doing there again? She was protecting her client, which was this random person arriving from, like, she was...
I don't know if I ever...
Because she was at the airport to pick up that woman who was, like, emigrating to the United States, and she wanted to prevent this woman from getting kidnapped and, like, becoming a sex slave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is something that's kind of touched on and then ignored.
Yeah.
But then... What is she doing there? She's a lawyer, and she, like, if she was a reporter, that would have made sense, but that's Margot.
It's one of those threads that just shows up and disappears, just like so many of the things in this movie. But, I mean, the best I could do is that, like, she knows the city's dangerous, and she is... I really can't justify it.
But, like, she knew Wang and his family, and I'd never recast his father. Doesn't matter.
She knew all about David Lopan.
Yeah.
She said at one point, there's a line in there where she says, like, I'm connected to this community or something, something to that degree.
I mean, her name is Gracie Law, but in our remake, I do not want her to be a lawyer because I want her to be the beat cop for this area of town.
Ooh.
Because that gives her a reason to be protecting these people. That gives her a reason to know everyone and kind of know about the underground crime, which she personally would love to put a stop to, but she just doesn't have the capability to do so.
Yeah, I mean, if she was like an immigration lawyer, like that is something that that would make sense to me. Like
that would, but then not why she would be pursuing David Lopan.
Yeah,
whose name is David for some reason.
It's,
I mean, it could be the Americanized name that he adopts just to do business in the United States. Like, I could completely see people doing that. In fact, I know of people who've done that. So, But, like, in terms of her job, I mean, immigration lawyer, beat cop, Justus, what do you think?
Immigration lawyer makes sense for the actual incarnation. I think the beat cop is a great idea for an update, because that... It gives her not just a connection, but also for all of the female characters in this, I wanted them to have more of an action. Or lines. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, if I want to see action, having them be a beat cop in one of the most dangerous places, quote unquote, assuming that there's still a ton of street gangs wandering around this version of Chinatown.
Well, why don't we do both? Why don't we make Gracie Law a beat cop, and why don't we make Margot an immigration lawyer?
Yeah,
that would actually make more sense. Because then that way the beat cop goes into the dangerous situation, and the lawyer stays back.
Yeah, and I think keeping Margot as a reporter is still like any kind of profession where she would be immersed and like really taking deep dives into the history of the place and the people and where the money's going. And, I think in either of those professions, she would have eyes and ears on any of that kind of stuff.
So then here's my next question. What happens after this movie ends? She's the reporter. This is her big break. She writes this story about the crazy shenanigans going on in, not Chinatown, but Little China. What? And then this weird demonic monster escapes into the wild. What happens to this world? Do these things happen and people ignore it? What happens after the movie ends?
That is a great question. I mean, like at the beginning of the movie when Egg Shen is being interviewed, he's like, a big building blew up in green flames. What happened? We need to know. And of course, so clearly the world kind of knows about it, but
that's not even the finale. The building that exploded in the green flame was the horror house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's much more. Man.
Egg Shen could have been interviewed immediately after that happened and then jumped into the rest of the plot. We don't know when that interview took place.
Well, yeah, at the time he's still looking for the lawyer is still looking for Jack Burton.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they were trying to find Mao Yan in the brothel, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And then lightning came.
Yeah.
I'm saying these words. Lightning came and kidnapped her.
You're doing great.
Lightning kidnapped Mao Yan. and then after that, and then the building explodes.
Uh-huh.
And then that's when they go into the final act into the underground,
right?
Whatever place.
But I feel like that building exploding is the one the lawyer was talking about at the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because that was the big green flame. Because the other building doesn't explode.
No. So yeah, maybe that's just one of the things that was, I suppose more people would see the building exploding in green flame than hearing all the fighting at Lopan's warehouse.
So this ghost guy got stabbed in the face. You want to talk about that? No, I want to talk about this giant green fireball that happened. Good point.
Yeah, I just wonder, because the Dwayne Johnson film is not going to be...
That's right.
It's not going to be a remake. It's going to be an extension.
Yeah.
We haven't mentioned that yet, but they are making a sequel to this movie, and I feel like The Rock is playing Jack Burton.
He's not.
He's not playing Jack Burton.
If Jack Burton exists in this world, it won't be Dwayne Johnson.
Okay, it's just something else in this universe.
Yeah, it's meant to be like an extension and like a bigger picture because...
is it called Bigger Trouble in Little China?
In littler, maybe. Smaller China. But... Dwayne Johnson is the only person attached to it right now because he's producing it, and
because he saw it when he was young.
That's probably true.
Yeah,
but there's because John Carpenter also did Escape from New York and Escape from L.A.
Mm-hmm.
So in the comic books, Boom Studios did I think several comic book adaptations of Big Trouble. And in one of them, I haven't read it. I'm like a big comic book nerd, but not that big. Not big enough to have firsthand experience with this.
You're in good company.
The two worlds became connected.
Of Big Trouble in Little China and Escape from
New York.
Various cities.
And I don't know if because Kurt Russell was in both. I don't know if he was the connection inside of that adaptation of the story. But
what city does this take place in? Is this New York?
San Francisco.
San Francisco. Yeah. Thank you. That makes sense. It's the wrong coast if it's New York.
Yeah. So anyway, not all that to say, I don't, I don't expect that to be the destination for a sequel, moving towards that. But to answer your question, Sam, I feel like that's a story Margot can never publish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like she either realizes like no one's gonna believe it, or I'm gonna get laughed out. I'm gonna get laughed out of my profession. Mm-hmm. So she either sits on it, and you know all this crazy shit just gets kind of
Swept
under the rug, and there's because we never really know the status of the demon. We just know that David Lopan died.
Yeah.
Right.
Because he's now free of the demon. Right, because that's the whole thing. Like, he wanted to become human again. He's appeasing the demon so that he could become flesh, and that was the only way he could die.
And that's the demon?
But that I don't think that answers the question of, does the demon still exist?
Right. And then the weird monster in the back of Jack's truck at the end, that's not the demon, right?
No, that's just something... Yeah.
Just like some like
that's
big,
just a random
just a
monster
lot of
they
money.
Well, it's a walk around Muppet.
And it was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hope is in the remake and not digitized.
Well, then let's talk about that. So, what is the core essence of this movie that we need to keep with us as we're moving it from as it exists now into 2018 versions of Big Trouble in Little China? Looking at you, Justus.
Yeah, I mean, because it's impossible to say what is the central thing of this movie that needs to move forward, because there's so much chaff on this wheat that you can separate from it, and then but at the same time you have to make sure you don't lose the essence of like, this is crazy, and it moves very quickly, and so it's hard.
Right,
it's hard to say exactly
what
that thing is.
But you, Justus, love this movie. What are the important things to you as someone who loves this movie to keep?
It's an action comedy. It is wildly mystical and strangely grounded at points. I'm having trouble I'm having trouble nailing down what it is I love about this movie. This movie is a feeling. Yeah. It's because we already know that a lot of my feeling of this is based in nostalgia. So it's hard to nail down what it is about that. I guess the feeling, because the feeling that you're seeing something unique. Yeah,
and you see something that's willing to take chances that other movies wouldn't. That it's going to go crazy in places where other movies would play it safe.
Yeah, and I think that's not necessarily out of the realm of a lot of recent films these days. I think of the Ghostbusters remake was certainly very kind of wacky and willing to take some strange chances, which didn't always work, but I thought it was a pretty good movie.
I mean, that's kind of this movie too. It takes extreme chances. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't, but it has to take the chances.
Yes, exactly.
In terms of plot, though, because I don't know if we necessarily want it to be, rescuing the damsels in distress. But theoretically, I'm not necessarily opposed to having Jack Burton be the one kidnapped and captured. And it's just draining them of their essence or their youth. It's someone who's so high energy, you need that energy and you need to take their soul in order to be fully revived in the world.
Yeah, I think if I can jump in here, Justus.
Oh, go ahead.
To me, the only thing that really kind of justifies continuing this story is the demon, right? That the demon has taken another form, that it still exists, that it's still creating, but in my imagination, the demon has gotten smarter, and because that's what demons do, they manipulate humans, but in 2018, technology is the devil's best friend.
Yeah.
So I imagine a world where we have the demon has someone in its thrall that there's this huge, like an Elon Musk kind of character, right? The devil's right in front of you all the time and is created this world that I think the only thing to do is make it bigger, and it's so it's become this global entity.
And I agree. I think the essence, and I think kind of boiling down what you're saying, is I do think it has to remain a story of good versus evil.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
And there was the army of good guys, and he called them turbans, but they weren't. The yellow bandanas.
Yeah.
And then there were the bad guys in the red bandanas. And I think you don't necessarily need more than that. you have the good guys, you have the bad guys. And then all of the good guys die, and then just your core named characters escape the exploding building. Because we didn't see all the dudes in the yellow bandanas die but none of them escaped. So,
yeah. But all spoke perfect English. And again, super appreciate that.
Yeah, it was awesome. And they lived in San Francisco. Who wouldn't?
It's like, who the hell is this guy? Yeah. Like, oh, good. Yes.
Check. Keep that joke, because that was a good joke. I enjoyed that one too. So all right. So if we're doing a story of good versus evil, and let's say we keep our main 4 bad guys. Let's say we keep our David Lopan. Let's say we keep our thunder, lightning, and our very, very frightening rain. What are they after? What's their goal? What's their mission? Other than just bringing more people over to the quote-unquote dark side and...
I think you can still maintain Lopan's want to become flesh again, that he's sort of this mythical background figure in the local politics. So people have maybe heard his name, but speak it in whispers. And so that whatever way they're stealing the souls of people, it is being used to bring him back to flesh.
Did you guys see the first season of Buffy?
Of course I have, many, many times.
Long time ago.
The basic premise of that entire season is that there's like kind of this elder vampire,
the Master,
the Master,
who needs to do fulfill the prophecy so he can walk on Earth again, but he has all of his little mini vampires running around doing bad things in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like that's our plot too. We have kind of this elder master who can't walk on Earth yet.
Mm-hmm.
But he has people doing his bidding.
Yeah. For me, I think it's like, because I think... So, in the original movie, David Lopan was in the thrall of the demon and was trying to find a way to get out of this, like, limbo, right? And so his goal was to just become human again. But he had to appease his demon master in order to do that. He had to do that through the sacrifice.
And without getting sued by Disney.
So with David Lopan dead, I think for me, like, the center of it is like I think the demon wants to walk the earth now, and maybe that's what you're saying, Justin.
Is David Lopan the demon, or is the thing he serves the demon?
I'd say the
thing he serves is the demon. Because David Lopan was like this ghost man.
Yeah.
Who was and that's one of the issues with the movie is like it's a little unclear because you never see the demon, so it only manifests through him, but it only manifests through him in making him look younger, and like it gives him like this kind of, it invigorates him in this way and gives him all these powers.
Because I'm okay with Lopan having an anticlimactic death if his death then turns around and releases the demon, because the demon needs to find a new spokesperson.
Yeah.
Like, Lopan dies in some comical, like, we can't believe he just died this way.
Yeah.
Well, and then all of a sudden the demon's free.
Yeah. For me, like, I'm in the camp of like this, not a remake, but a continuation. So like if it were a continuation of the story, it would be the demon has found a new host, or a new thrall. But now has this greater agenda of like, well, fuck it, humans are fucking useless. Like I could roll the shit out of these people. So like the I think for me it's the idea of like the demon's ambitions have grown to the point where I don't know if do we gender demons? I don't know. It is seeking a passage into our, like, a permanent place.
Okay, cool. So season 3 of Legends of Tomorrow. Got it.
Oh, that's the...
I love that show, and
that's the DC show,
that comes up a lot. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Aside from the fact that the premise of the show is remake, not sequel, I think that is a cool idea, but there's no reason why we can't also do that in this movie. Like, I don't see any reason why we can't have Lopan as both villain and puppet. So he can both speak for himself as the villain and himself as the puppet. Like, there can be his voice and then the demon's voice. Because he kind of had that dichotomy now anyway. He would kind of like be like the little joking, mincing guy making like the terrible references, but then he'd also be like, no, go in and kill them all now.
Mm-hmm.
And he was both. And I think that's certainly something we could hold
Shut
on
up,
to.
Mr. Burton. That's one of my favorite lines from the movies.
What? Say that again?
when they first meet Lopan, he comes out in the wheelchair and he's like, oh, and then Kurt Russell won't stop talking, and then he's like, shut up, Mr. Burton.
Yes, good. More of that. Good. I love it.
Oh man, I do want to spend a lot of time just talking about how great James Hong is as Lopan.
There's a. I was reading an interview with the special effects guy, and he said that during that scene, he was he's on set watching it, and he said he would laugh every time. Like he would break every time they had to retake it, and then they finally Carpenter kicked him off the set because he couldn't keep his shit together whenever James Hong would say that line.
I love that.
Shut up, Mr. Burton. He would just crack up. He's like, get the fuck out of here. Like, we can't. Jesus Christ.
Awesome. All right. Okay, so then that's our antagonist. But what do our heroes want? Let's say we keep all of our main four.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say we keep Jack Burton. Let's say we keep Wong. Let's say we keep Gracie Law. Mm-hmm. And let's even say we keep Miao Yin. Did I pronounce that right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I did. Doesn't matter. It matters, but it's not important.
I was like, wait.
It definitely matters. I'm bad at it, but not the time. But let's say we keep those four, not necessarily so that they can pair off later, just because we have our outside perspective looking in, and that's Jack Burton.
Yeah. I think he still just wants his truck back. Like,
Great.
If we're just doing a
you
remake,
still want him to be a trucker? Because I was going to ask about that.
So I have an idea about that.
Tell us.
Because I definitely want to eliminate the white savior aspect of Jack Burton. I had Jack Burton being a pseudonym that he adopted during this trip to America that he was taking to visit his friend Wang Chi, and because he's a complete America-phile, and so he rented a huge monster truck that he's driving around the streets. Yeah, this is my and he's just somebody based on the actor I chose, he's British, but he's just a huge America-phile. So he came to America, he rented a big truck, he's only eating hamburgers, and he's visiting his friend.
He's like that dude from Love Actually.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, kind of exactly that. That would be fun.
That's
I'm not
fun.
opposed to that, because I had a question at the beginning, like, I don't know what he's delivering.
Yeah. Also, especially if it's still set in San Francisco, like, I like the idea of like paying homage to like the original, like he's like an Uber driver or something, or like and like whatever happens, his car
I would be
gets stolen.
perfectly happy if he's a tourist.
And just gets swept up.
And he just kind of gets swept up in the whole thing.
And
like if he literally does the Bender move of anytime something crazy is happening, he just says neat and takes a picture.
Does this happen
like
all the
Justus's
time in
idea.
America?
He's like,
Yeah.
oh, this place is amazing.
Yeah, like Justus's idea of like something like that,
Yeah.
just like he's literally
Like, this is
the odd man out.
awesome.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. And if he's renting a big truck and he desperately wants it back because the deposit on that thing is enormous.
Exactly.
And also the idea that he goes to San Francisco and rents a huge ass truck.
Yeah. The worst
Like,
place for
You
it.
can't drive it anywhere. You can't park it anywhere.
So yeah, there's a whole comic series right there.
Side note, at the beginning of the movie, I kind of assumed that Wang was a fellow truck driver, but he's not because he lives there. What is his job?
He owns the restaurant.
I thought his dad owned the restaurant.
Well, it's a family business.
Family business.
So was Jack delivering like restaurant supplies? That's how they know each
Maybe.
other?
I think that was never clear how they met.
Because they definitely had a pre-existing relationship.
Yeah.
Which was good. Keep that.
But I'll buy that. But I mean, he would never like deliver directly to the restaurant.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter, but pre-existing relationship, whatever it is, I do think is good and important.
Wang Chi has like Air Force coveralls on.
Yeah.
So perhaps like this, and I don't know why they would never have mentioned that, but they could have been buddy. Like in this version that we're talking about, this remake, that wouldn't make sense anyway. But maybe it was that.
Wang Chi is the most interesting character because at the beginning of the movie, he's kind of the bumbling fool who can't cut a bottle in half and like. But at the end of the movie, he is literally the most badass person there. He is 100% the protagonist.
Yeah, he has that whole fight scene where you only see them going through the by the door. Yeah, kind of ridiculous.
They're going up and down.
He beats both thunder and rain.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. They said they shot all those. They did all that with trampolines.
Yeah.
Just trampolines.
I bet. It looked super fun. And... But, like, at the beginning of the movie, he never would have been able to do that. But by the end of the movie, it is. And they also kind of explain it because, like, at the beginning of the movie, he's all frazzled because he's about to meet the woman he's going to marry. And so, like, he's not centered at all. And he realizes that, and that's why he runs. But by the end of the movie, he has a mission, and he does know what he's doing. And I kind of get why he would be bumbling at the beginning and badass at the end. I don't know. I'm perfectly happy if he's badass the entire time.
I'm into that.
Yeah.
That plays into my casting.
Good. But then with that in mind, what role do the two women serve? Because we've got, let's say we have the beat cop and we've got the immigration lawyer and what do we want Miao Yin's role to be? Like, what is she doing here? Because the bride arriving from China is not a good narrative.
Yeah.
That's not a thing to keep.
No.
But her being fresh in town could still be a thing. And
it could be,
and him having to protect her, or like having some reason to relate to her and keep her, like, that relationship could still be established, but not necessarily have it be like, all right, well, they sent my bride over, got to go pick her up from the airport.
Here's my pitch. Unless either of you have one,
I'd love to hear.
My pitch is that they are already married. My pitch is that, but it's a long distance relationship, and just like her job is. Like, let's say Wang Chi does own the restaurant, but it's a really, really nice restaurant. And so someone has to go out and source supplies. So I have a friend who works for a restaurant, and he's their wine guy. And he literally travels all over the world. He was in San Francisco yesterday for a one-day trip to go buy wine. So you need someone who's able to go out and get the best ingredients from all over the world, and that can be her job. They own the restaurant together. He's kind of home base, and she's the person going out and finding all the best ingredients from all over the place. Let's say that random other woman who got off the airplane at the beginning, if we need a damsel in distress, I think the person who literally has no lines and no purpose can be that person. And I think that if we use this to kind of like, well, they have to take down... Lopan's operation because it's literally a sex slavery operation, and so they need to take it down, and so they are rescuing this woman who's getting sold into like, slavery, and that's kind of the outward focus of what's going on. Meanwhile, they're doing all of these terrible things, but they're doing it because they're pure evil. Look what being pure evil allows them to do. Crazy batshit magic. Yeah.
I really appreciate that. I think that's a good take on it. That on Miao Yin's characterization. I mean that she would be, because it places them in the airport so they could see somebody actually getting trafficked immediately, and it would be a good call there.
I would even be perfectly happy if they come after her as well, and then she just kicks their ass.
Oh yeah.
And then she kicks their ass, and then they're like, oh, crap. And then as they're leaving, they grab this other woman. And so now all of a sudden they're responsible because she let them get away. She's like, I can take them down, whatever. They have no threat to me. And then they grab an innocent victim.
Yeah.
And so now all of a sudden she feels responsible for this poor woman who was a casualty of her fight, or they were coming to get her.
Yeah.
I'll buy that, and it's much more interesting than just having Miao Yin just be floating and waiting for shit to happen for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Who played Miao Yin, the actress?
Her name is Susie Pai.
What's her origin? I forgot to look her up.
She's very light skinned. I mean, I think she was Asian. Susie Pai, she was probably Chinese, but she was incredibly light skinned. Like, she was very white passing to me. I had to look twice.
That was the thing. I couldn't tell one way or the other, and I was looking to see if the green eyes were contacts.
I think most of the people with green eyes in this movie had contacts. Because I know that
probably
Kim
true.
Cattrall definitely did.
Okay, all right. There you go. There's the answer.
Yeah, but I like that idea because my other pitch is going to be that Wang Chi is the one who gets kidnapped, and then the story centers around Mao Yin and this bumbling, foolish white guy, tourist, picture snapping, whatever. I think either way, either way is compelling to me. As long as, but the idea that Wang Chi and Mao Yin and Burton are all working together towards solving this problem is like great, because otherwise if either of them does still get kidnapped, whether it's Wang or Meow, that they're not just passive the entire time.
Yeah,
they're fighting all the way through, and then there's a lot of comedy built into that as well.
Like, they kept having these moments where Gracie Law would wake up from her hypnotism and then close her eyes again and then be hypnotized again, and I could not figure out why or what was going on.
I read that as she had, and I don't know at what point, that she had come out of whatever spell she was under and didn't know what to do, or was trying to assess the situation. By the time that she had the wherewithal, like she was magicked again and couldn't do anything about it.
Because the character as she was portrayed, I certainly got the impression that even if she was in a bad situation, she'd still be the person to shout at Lo Pan and say, "What the hell do you think you're doing?"
Or try to leave.
Like,
anywhere has to be better.
Yeah. Because we also did a Police Academy episode, and she's the attractive lady in Police Academy, and I feel so bad for this actress because she's always playing the highly, highly competent person who keeps, like, falling for the moron, and who, like, keeps having to, like, handicap her own competency.
She's a lawyer.
Yeah. And in Police Academy, she's, like, one of the most competent, like, cadets.
Of course she is.
Yeah.
Of course she is. But, okay, so if that's kind of our arc, it's the good versus evil, it is still going in to rescue people.
Yeah.
What else do we need kind of for the scope of the movie?
What the sort of the mystical and mythical elements, presumably, like what from the original movie would you want to keep? What would you want to get rid of? Because, like, I mean, the magical fighting, sure. Maybe even the, like, if you want to do if you want to have Egg Shen and Lo Pan still fighting with their force powers, their Schwartz powers at the end. Do you still want the Beholder? That as their security system? Do you still want monsters roaming through the sewers?
Again, in 2018, like, you don't need a Beholder.
No, you just have cameras.
You got Ring.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. It's like, I bet he has you could literally make it as a joke. I bet he has all sorts of mystical things just keeping track of where we are. And then they just look up and it's a camera. And then they cut to Lo Pan holding an iPad, like, they're over there.
And there's a Beholder over his shoulder just watching.
It's like,
oh, no, then you cut to a Beholder sitting on the sign with a "Will be hold for food."
Will be hold for food.
Honestly, the magic I would keep. I would make Egg Shen a little bit more competent than just throwing, like, glass beads that explode. Because he came in late, but he may have been my favorite character.
Yeah, he came hard.
Yeah. He was like, I'm Egg Shen.
Yeah.
I give tours and I fuck shit up.
Yeah, I think just keeping all that over the top, big spectacle set piece magic is important. And then tying in those moments of because that it is a movie. I'm quoting. It is a movie of its time. So this remake should also be a movie of its time. Like, not ignore, like, the capability and the technology.
People should watch this movie that we make in 30 years and go, wow,
that's
2018,
dated.
huh?
Yeah. Boy, is that dated.
Just all walking around in their custom Nike shoes. No, you can't in the context. You could even do that, because a lot of Nike things get made in, like, sweatshop, like, forced labor. So you have them make their own brand. Like, people are walking around in their Lo Pan shoes. Instead of it being a swoosh, it's just the extended pinky fingernail. I mean, why not? You extend the metaphor all the way, and, like, those are the things that are going to get taken down. Justus, what are the elements of magical realism that are important to you to keep?
I remember when I was young, one of the things that stood out to me was the hells, like the upside down hell with all the bodies that they're swimming through. Like I would, I don't know too much about. I know that there exist many hells in Chinese culture, but I don't know a lot about them. So I would actually like to see some well researched hells pop up in this.
I'd completely forgotten about that. That's a good idea.
That is a good idea. Because we got a taste of it.
Yeah.
And when we did, man, when they were swimming through the bodies, I was like,
so
that's
creepy.
in your mouth.
Yeah.
Like, you're getting it in your mouth.
And then there was that weird, like, well that Jack Burton almost fell in. Like, there could be another hell down there.
Yeah.
And Lopan at some point says, he references a couple of the other hells as well.
Yeah.
I'd completely forgotten about that. That's super cool.
That would be great to see more of it.
Yeah.
That could even be the journey and like the busting people out. Like they're going through every single one of those hells.
Yeah.
They just go full Dante on us.
Yeah. That's cool.
That's great, Justus. We love that.
Yeah, and also just don't even change up the monster design. Put that weird monster back in. He's perfect. Use the same walk around Muppet.
I just have so many questions about the sewer monster.
So that's the thing. One of the things that this movie does well that annoys the shit out of me, but that it's still really, really good is it doesn't feel the need to answer every single question.
Yeah.
It presents these things as they exist in this world, and the people in that world know about them and accept them. That's it. Great. The end. We don't need to sit around and explain, well, here's the way magic works. So, if you believe super, super hard and focus, but, like, we can certainly introduce elements of the world, and then that's it. That's a part of the world.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I think we kind of have an idea of what we want for the plot and the kind of the scope of the movie. So let's start talking about who we want for our cast.
All right.
And dun, dun, dun.
All right. So
we want to stick to like one per role, right?
Yeah. Only one per role.
It gets too wild. Okay.
Because if everyone's pitching 3, we'll never leave.
Right.
Yeah.
And today, for those of you who are paying attention, we're recording on Yom Kippur, which means that I haven't had anything to eat all day.
Oh, jeez.
So
Holy
I'm very
Moses.
hungry. Yeah. So let's start with Jack Burton. I can go first.
Okay.
So the person that I have for Jack Burton is Manny Jacinto, who is he's Jason on The Good Place.
Yeah, I used him as a later character actually for that.
Love it. I cast him in this role specifically because one of the things I tried very, very hard to do is I tried to pull people who are actually of Chinese descent for the various roles. Mm-hmm. And Manny Jacinto's Filipino, so I couldn't use him anywhere else. So I'm like, yeah, but like we need a bumbling fool who like is able to kind of like show expression of what is going on and then supreme confidence. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of an aspect of what he does on The Good Place. And so I thought that he'd be a fun Jack Burton. Who'd you guys have? Go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, all right. So my choice, because I wanted to have him be not white, but still an outsider and possibly still of Asian descent. So I actually went with somebody of Indian descent, Rahul Kohli, who plays Ravi on iZombie.
I love him.
He's really funny. I think he would really do well as sort of an over to the top macho character, but sort of putting on an act version of that, and like renting a truck and coming to America and eating burgers. So he was my pick.
Yeah, he'd be great.
I think he'd be really.
I've 100% cast him in other things before because I love that actor. He's amazing.
Yeah, he's really good on iZombie, and I think he could use a big profile hit after that show ends, because I don't know if he'll see a lot more work, unfortunately.
Is it ending anytime soon? I'm a season behind. I need to know these things.
I think it'll probably get 1 or 2 more seasons tops.
Okay, great.
In a plot twist, I stuck. This is the only role that I cast is with the white person.
Okay.
I cast.
Do not have any white people.
I love that. But so we'll get to the other. So I put Channing Tatum, in this, who might be too big a name, but I think he has proven to me over time that he has got really strong comedy chops, and he can play, and he plays very well. He's
If you want the modern day Kurt Russell, it is probably Channing Tatum.
I think that's a really good call. Yeah, I really like Channing Tatum.
You know, he can play that confident, like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but we're gonna do it, and like, what?
Yeah,
like he can do it, and he's likable, and
he plays like someone who you think is going to be really competent, and then when he screws up, it's funnier.
Yeah.
We may have to go with Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
I may have talked myself into Channing Tatum, and I love both of these other actors.
I love your choices more for different reasons, but you know, just because I was because to me then it highlight it there is something about like highlighting the competency of the rest of the characters. If this one role stays,
yeah, if he's the white person, that would be happy with that.
Yeah, he's like the one guy I could think of. Like,
yeah,
he won't.
It'll
be up to the studio to make sure he doesn't outshine everybody else.
Right.
Yes,
because I think he knows how to handle himself and knows how to elevate other people around him.
I mean, I've seen a couple movies where he's been a good side character. I mean, Hail Caesar and the terrible Kingsman sequel are both good examples of that.
that. Well, also in This Is the End, where fucking everybody was in that, but he just walking around and like on the fucking beach, like, hey guys,
great. I want to come back to Rahul Kohli because I actually think he's better casting for someone I have later on. But for Jack Burton, I do think we should go with Channing Tatum.
All right,
I'm sure he'll be happy to hear that.
So, Justus, let's start with you for Gracie Law.
All right, I had Nicole Bloom, who plays, she's on Superstore as the, I can't remember the name, begins with a C. Do you watch Superstore at all?
No, but I
do.
did use an actor for it later.
She's,
oh, okay.
yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of the character, but she's great on that. She's half Japanese, half American, and I think she's got really great comedy chops, and she can play serious very well as well. So I think doing both of those would be having that sort of balance for Gracie would be pretty good.
Got it. I like that.
Yeah.
Who'd you have?
I went Lucy Liu.
Lucy Liu, really?
Like just a badass. And then this was like still thinking like even a like cop or lawyer or whatever. Like somebody who's super competent, like will like fucking just like won't put up with your shit. And can kick some ass. Yeah, like someone who I can imagine saying, "Jack, move." and then just taking care of the problem.
I can see that. The actress that I have is an actress named Brenda Song, who you will
I have her
recognize.
later as well.
Do you really?
Yeah.
She is like kind of from the Disney School of Acting, but she was also in Social Network. She plays that girlfriend in Social Network, and she's great. I'm always wondering why we don't see more of her.
Yeah, she's really good.
But like for the kind of big emotional, like this is what's going on, and we're gonna take command, and we're gonna get those people back. If anything, I kind of thought the Disney School of Acting like origins kind of fit that a little bit, and that's why I thot that Brenda Song in particular would be kind of fun.
I'll buy that. Are we voting?
I mean, we can vote if we kind of have I still feel strongly about Brenda Song.
I like Brenda
what do you
Song.
guys think?
I like Brenda. I put her on my list later on because I like her.
All right, let's keep her for now, and then if we need to move things around later, we will.
Yeah.
So then, Robert, who do you have for Wang Chi?
For Wang Chi, I was torn.
We're being very civil, by the way. This is great. There's going to be one or two that I know all of us have like deep in our hearts, like, this is the thing.
This is very serious business right now. We are casting
Absolutely.
this movie.
I think what I really loved about this is that I now have a hard time choosing, right? Now there's a long enough list of actors where I can say, I need to make a decision between several Asian actors instead of there just being the one guy.
Yeah.
So it's just nice to be in a time where that's
a
the
possibility.
conversation. So I'm gonna go with youth on this one.
Wise, since I like it.
I'm gonna go with Harry Shum Jr.
Interesting. Go on. Tell me about Harry Shum Jr.
Just because like have you ever seen Shadowhunters?
I have not.
Or The Librarians?
I have not, but I hear Librarians is super fun.
You know, he's been a part of these franchises that are like big, magical, kicking ass. And you know, he's just fucking look at him.
He's a competent, good-looking dude.
He's a good-looking dude.
And
I mean, he's British.
Does he have martial arts experience?
I do not know.
I assume if he's on a show like Shadowhunters, he would.
I mean, they're teaching him something.
Yeah.
They're teaching him something.
He also comes from the Glee He was
Yeah. So like he, I trust that he can do.
He's
he
in
can
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Sword of Destiny. So I assume he has martial arts
So
experience.
he can like take all this like really wild, unbelievable stuff and like make you feel like we're not in crazy town.
Cool, good. All right, let me talk about mine. So my Wang Chi, I wrote down Harry Shum Jr. So all of those things that Robert just said, but again.
He is a great choice.
I love when that happens.
I'm the only one that didn't go with him, apparently. I went with Stephen Yeun.
Stephen Yeun's good.
Yeah,
Tell me about Stephen Yeun.
From The Walking Dead, who he played Glenn. He's I think he could also do both comedy and action, clearly, from The Walking Dead, and that's why I selected him. But I actually,
He was attached for a long time to... There's a comic book called Chew.
Oh, okay. That's a great comic.
Yeah. CHEW. And he was attached for a long time to... I mean, they will never make that
no.
into a thing. It's just like... I pray for the day where technology and artistry converge to the point where that can turn into something that's worth watching.
I'm trying to remember where we cast him for Mortal Kombat, because I know I just recorded that episode like a little bit ago, but we most definitely cast Stephen Yeun somewhere in Mortal Kombat, and it's bothering me that I can't remember where.
Also, side note, excuse me, it is rumored, I didn't do a deep dive in his research, but the Storms from Big Trouble in Little China, their costuming was the inspiration for which character is it in Mortal Kombat that wears the
Raiden?
Raiden. Like, it is rumored.
I believe that. I mean, the character of Lightning is basically Raiden.
Yeah.
I believe that. The only reason why in between our two choices I would lean more towards Harry Shum Jr. is because he is of Chinese descent as opposed to South Korean.
Yeah, I went for most of these. I think I just went kind of Asian. I did not go specifically Chinese. So Harry Shum Jr., whom I watched all of Glee, so I love Harry Shum Jr.
So. Great.
So we're going Harry. Okay.
Cool. So my turn to start. So for Miao Yin, I went with an actress named Kelsey Chow. She was on Teen Wolf. I'm going to pull up her embeds. She's in Wind River and a bunch of different things. And in The Amazing Spider-Man, she plays the character of Hot Girl.
The Hot Girl. The Hot...
But because she's in Yellowstone and Splitting Up Together and Teen Wolf and those different things, and I thought she'd be good. I care strongly about this one. But yeah, so Justus, tell us about your Miao Yin.
My Miao Yin was Michelle Selene Ang, who she was on 13 Reasons Why, and that's basically where people would know her from. I sort of chose her on look alone. That's the only thing I really know her from. But I remember she was very good in 13 Reasons Why. I don't really...
Spell her last name?
A-N-G.
Oh, just Ang.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I heard more syllables there, so I was way out of left. Okay.
Yeah.
And so it looks like she's been...
Yeah, still very
a lot of different
very
things.
Fresh.
She's on Fear the Walking Dead. Okay. She did an episode of NCIS.
Really? Am I looking at a different...
For Michelle Ang?
Michelle Ang on 13 Reasons Why?
She may have been. I'm not...
She's Australian.
I'm looking...
I'm not seeing 13 Reasons Why.
There might be two Michelle Angs, I wonder. Michelle Selene Ang? Oh, there's... although this Michelle Ang that I'm looking at from Fear the Walking Dead might be pretty good, too.
Here, yes.
Oh, there she is.
One with one L, one with two L's. Want to know what's weird?
What's that?
I kind of prefer the other Michelle Ang.
I think you know what? I kind of think I do, too, now that I've seen her as well. Anyway, I'm not particularly attached to mine, so if you want to go with that.
I kind of like this other Michelle Ang we just found.
I like that there's so many choices.
Yeah.
I once again went with a name.
Mm-hmm.
And
did you do that a lot?
Yeah. Partially is I just saw Crazy Rich Asians, so like that a lot of stuff in mind.
I tried so hard to avoid just pulling from Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah, sadly. I went with Constance Wu.
God, I love Constance Wu. I love
and
Fresh Off the Boat. She's so good.
She's a miracle. And I think like in our remake version where Miao Yin is a lot more feisty and kick ass, like that's her.
I get that.
Like, she's not going to sit around and take shit.
No, I would very much go with Constance Wu.
But I'm good with any of these. You know, like, I think it really depends on, like, what our...
Just because of the kismet of the moment, I'd like to go with the Michelle Ang we
do
found. And because I think that's amazing. And because all three of us are like, hey, great.
hey.
None of us knew about this actress, but
I'm
she
down.
kind of came in and surprised us. And I think that we can
She
thank
was
Justus for that.
Yeah, she surprised us in the room. That worked out.
Yeah.
She was on Neighbours. That's where, like, all those Australian beautiful people come from.
Yeah. And if anyone needs to have an accent, the person who's traveling the world, getting all the different ingredients and the wines and everything. I think it's great. We're going to go with this actress that none of us knew about called Michelle Ang. That makes me so happy.
Who's next?
Justus is going to take us away for David Lopan.
David Lopan. Of course, I went with a great action comedy star, Stephen Chow. Have you seen Kung Fu Hustle or Shaolin Soccer?
Stephen Chow.
I have not. Tell me about him.
Oh, they're Chinese movies. So they're in Chinese. They're hilarious.
I've seen Kung Fu Hustle.
Yeah, Kung Fu Hustle. He's the lead in Kung Fu Hustle. He also wrote and directed it.
Okay.
And yeah, it's those movies. I think have that sort of out of the top, over the out of bounds comedy quality that I think translates well to this. and that's why I was like, when I thought of him, I was like, oh, that's perfect. He would be perfect for this.
I don't disagree. That's a good choice. Robert, who did you have?
I just made a last minute change to mine to Jackie Chan. Again, going with the name. My original one, just so I'm cheating a little bit, was Daniel Wu, but that was just the idea, like we're taking like Daniel Wu from Into the Badlands.
Oh yeah, I cast him in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, but someone who's like really charming and
he's great,
like fucking handsome as shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like the devil. Like if someone's gonna play the devil, that's the devil. But I do like this idea of like still living in this and that dude can fight. Mm-hmm. So like that wouldn't be a problem. But like in terms of this world, I think Jackie's the guy.
Jackie Chan came up in our Mortal Kombat episode 2.
Jackie Chan was the Carpenter tried to get Jackie Chan.
But doesn't Jackie Chan have in his contract that he will never play a villain?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he does because he's only ever played the good guy.
Well,
like that's one of the things about Jackie Chan. He only plays the hero.
Well, then I'm gonna go with Daniel Wu. If we can't get Jackie because of a writer, then I'm gonna go with Daniel Wu.
I like Daniel Wu a lot. Obviously, like I've used him for other things before. I kind of have a deep bench pull for this as well. I found an actor named Jason Scott Lee, and I found him because he literally in the Bruce Lee movie portrayed Bruce Lee.
Oh.
And so he's an older actor now, and he kind of has...
Oh, yeah, I recognize this guy.
And so I thought that you could take this particular actor and kind of both age him up and age him down as kind of a different thing. Because he's been around for a while. He's 51.
Dragon, right? That Bruce Lee movie, Dragon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's also in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Sword of Destiny. But he's a deep bench pull, and so I thought that he kind of like would fit. Kind of like he doesn't pull focus too much as being like this recognized person. Like that if you kind of have the young version of him and the old version of him, you wouldn't immediately know. No, that's clearly the same person. Which I thought would be interesting, especially for this, because you have this character at the beginning of the movie who kind of appears and disappears, and you're like, oh my god, who was that? And then you have this decrepit old man, and if it's someone like Jackie Chan, you recognize them both right away. Yeah. That's Jackie Chan. Yeah. We're done. And so I thought that it'd be fun to have a more obscure actor for that role, and I thought that he would be good, especially because he also has the combat experience and the history with that. So I thought he would be a good pull, but... I
like Stephen Chow.
That's the thing. I'm also leaning more towards Stephen Chow. I think that's a good pick.
I think Stephen Chow.
Yes, I got one.
You've had two.
Have I?
Sort of. Well, Michelle Ang.
Well, I stumbled into that one.
Full credit. So that brings us to Egg Shen. Robert, tell us about your Egg Shen.
Again, in staying on trends, I went with Ken Jeong for Egg Shen.
I considered him. Ken Jeong of Community. And the Hangover movies.
And Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah.
He plays big characters really well. But he does them in a really grounded way. Like his character on Community is just fucking hilarious, man.
I actually briefly considered him for David Lopan before I found Jason Scott Lee, and because if there's any actor who would lean into ridiculous stereotypes and then go the other way with them, it would be Ken Jeong, because he's great. But for a movie called Big Trouble in Little China, he's South Korean. So
yeah,
that's why I did not cast him. But the actor I have for Egg Shen is Dennis Dunn.
The original
Wang. And because he's still around, he's still acting, and I kind of like the idea of, I mean, he's seen this all before, and I think it's funny if he's literally seen this all before. And because he didn't kind of get the recognition he deserved when he was originally in this movie, because I agree with you, Robert, he was amazing, he's great, he's the hero.
He's good at it.
I see no reason for him to not still be the hero.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do like Dennis Dunn. And is he still acting? I haven't seen him.
I looked him up. He does a few things here and there.
Yeah, he used to be in a lot more stuff, but
his IMDb Pro pick is his pick from Big Trouble in Little China.
That's true.
That's his big claim to fame.
Really?
But he basically is in things up to 2002, and then in 2016 he's in something else as well.
Oh yeah.
But like, he's 66. He's the perfect age. To play Egg Shen.
He would be good.
Justice.
All right,
Justice, who do you have?
You can't bail on yours.
I'm still proud of my pick. I went with Benedict Wong, who played Wong in Doctor Strange.
Oh, Benedict Wong.
Yeah, he would be really good. And if you throw some old age makeup on him, he could do sort of the wild-eyed craziness that Victor Wong brought to the part originally, and I think he'd be great at it.
Oh, you know what? I might use Benedict Wong as a replacement for one of my Thunder Lightning people.
I didn't cast that.
I cast him.
For this one in particular, I want to go with Dennis Dunn, just because I want to pay tribute to the hero of the last movie.
Yeah, I like it.
I like that.
But I love Benedict Wong. He's great.
Yeah. Okay,
that means that it is my turn to go first to talk about Margot. Margot is tricky because she's kind of a sidekick in her own right. She's not necessarily a competent person on her own, but I kind of also want someone I don't want her to be incompetent. So I went with Awkwafina, who she's also in Crazy Rich Asians, but I first saw her in Ocean's 8, where she's amazing. And she kind of is younger and a little bit, I don't know what kind of character she plays in Crazy Rich Asians, which, full disclosure, I haven't seen it yet. I know. I'm so sorry.
I haven't been to a movie in the theater in a little while, but it's playing like down the street from me. I really want to go.
You have an excuse. You have a baby.
Yeah,
I have no excuse. I just should have gone.
You should have gone.
There's still time.
The weekend that they were screening it at the WGA was a weekend I was out of town, and I was like, no, I want to go.
You should have traveled back into town just for the screening.
I should have. But she kind of plays like the younger, hipper person who's like, no, this is what's going on. I understand. This is what it is. She doesn't really fit our narrative of an immigration lawyer, so I'm perfectly happy going with someone else. But I just thought she was good. You're up, Justus.
For Margot, Margot initially was one of the only people I cast still as white. Then I eventually went to switch back to Brenda Song. But since we've switched to Brenda Song, I can bring back my original white casting, which was Danielle Panabaker, who plays Caitlin Snow on The Flash.
Oh.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, that is an interesting choice.
I can see that.
I could see that too.
Yeah,
I might go with oh crap, I'm blanking on her name. The actress who plays the love interest.
Iris West. Oh, I can't remember her name either. But she's pretty good too. But yeah, I went with Danielle Panabaker.
Also, that Disney School of Acting.
That's right.
Go ahead, Robert.
Where Margot? I had Mindy Kaling.
That also fits.
Because it's one character that can be, is outside of the community, but to give some South Asian actors some love, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
also was in Ocean's 8 and was also great in Ocean's 8.
But I think she's just going to be her version of Margot.
Yeah.
Which I think is is lovely.
And I think that I actually think Mindy Kaling would be a good choice because I think she would play a very good harried immigration lawyer, just like trying to figure things out.
Yeah, I mean, with her the Mindy Project, where she was playing a very harried doctor, that would translates pretty well.
Let's go with that. Let's go with Mindy Kaling for Margot, which brings us to Eddie. For Eddie, I know the character's name is Eddie Lee. However, for this character, because I was so insistent on everyone else in the cast being like true Chinese descent and everything, and basically Eddie is playing Wang's buddy, his best friend.
He's just...
I didn't think that was strictly speaking necessary for this character, and his name is Eddie. So I went with the other Superstore actor, Colton Dunn.
I love Colton Dunn.
Because he doesn't need to be a big part of the movie. He just needs to kind of show up, be funny, get some zingers in, help out a little bit, try to throw a punch and fail. And so I thought Colton Dunn would be good at that. But yeah, that's what I thought.
This is where I chose Manny Jacinto. Because I think...
got it. Okay.
I think he'd be...
Makes sense.
Yeah, great, funny, because Eddie's definitely a comic role, and he is hilarious.
That actually is a good choice for this one as well. That's probably better than Colton Dunn.
I think they're both good. I like them both.
Well, I agree. Everything I do is great.
Yeah, for sure. I had Randall Park
I
in
love
that
her.
role.
Wait. Randall Park.
From Fresh Off the Boat.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I looked at him for something, but I don't remember what.
Yeah.
Tell me about Randall Park.
You know, he plays that kind of, you know, he's got that optimism, you know, just like, yeah, we're, you know, but he's also kind of he's like, you know, he's a very all-American kind of guy, you know. It's just like, we're gonna win that race. So I don't know how, but it's gonna happen.
I like it.
Yeah, he's got a great dry delivery too. He's so funny.
Okay, then let's ask this, because I like Manny Jacinto and I like Randall Park. Because they would be the best friend to our Wang Chi, who is Harry Shum Jr. Of our two actors, who do you think would be the better friend to Harry Shum Jr.?
I like Manny Jacinto.
Manny Jacinto?
All right.
Like
Manny
Jacinto.
That sounds good to me.
And when The Good Place finally ends, every single person on that show is never going to not work for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
They're also going to be fine. But now we've got our Rain, Thunder, and Lightning. Let's start with the person who is on the screen the least. Let's start with Lightning. Because theoretically he's the most powerful, but like he doesn't say anything. He has these weird spinny things on his hands, and he can literally ride lightning. It's awesome. And then he doesn't do shit.
Nope.
And then instead, like, he sees all the good guys, and instead of actually attacking them, he just like poses, and then they just escape while he's posing. Which I get, that's the joke, that's funny, but I'm just sitting there going, no, absolutely not.
So our remake would just give them more to do.
Yeah. I want them to be like full bad guy villains who just fully buy into Lo Pan's plot. They're like, no, we're all in.
Yeah.
We're also evil and believe in the evil. No redemption arc for them. Just
is the premise here that so we're still on in the framework of that Thunder is the most prominent of the three?
Not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
I don't necessarily care about that.
Okay.
I'm going with
that
Lightning.
affects my casting.
I'm kind of like going in reverse order of things they've done in the movie.
Okay.
Okay, so for Lightning, I'll go first, Robert, since you just came up with someone.
Yeah.
There's an actor named Ross Butler.
Ross Butler.
Who is also in 13 Reasons Why, and he's in Riverdale.
Oh, yeah.
And I went with
this...
Does
he play
Jughead?
No. He plays Reggie, right?
And
that's right.
I went with this actor in particular because he is a very pretty actor, and I could totally see him just posing there, throwing lightning at people while looking pretty.
Fair.
And that's all he needs to do. He has been in good things, and he's Reggie or whatever, and can probably act. But that's why I picked him, because I thought it would be interesting and fun.
Okay. Well, if we're basing it on that, I have Sung Kang.
Ooh, tell us about him.
As Lightning from Fast and the Furious movies. He's like the foil to... it's been a while since I've seen those movies.
Oh, is he the dude from Tokyo Drift? No. Yes? No. I don't know.
I never saw Tokyo Drift. I know Channing Tatum was in Tokyo Drift.
Is he really? I did not know that. I've only ever seen...
He was in Tokyo Drift. He was also in Fast and Furious and Fast and Furious 6.
Cars and punching. But, I think, he's got the look.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Handsome guy.
Yeah.
Can give good face.
Can give good face, absolutely.
Gives real good face. Yeah.
Justus, tell us about your lightning.
So for all of my storms, you'll notice a Chinese action star theme. So my lightning is Jackie Chan.
Oh,
I love it.
there you go. And he's not too old to be lightning?
I think that the respect that people have for Jackie Chan it will translate the impressive nature of lightning. Oh, yeah, of course he's just standing there. It's Jackie Chan. You know he can break you.
Fair. All right. You know what? I'm not feeling particularly strongly about any of our three choices. So when we do our three bad guy enforcers, let's kind of do all three together and see if we can figure out who we have that will work well together.
Okay.
My reign is Chloe Bennett.
I considered her.
Yeah? Chloe Bennett is Sky and Daisy and Quake in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, I considered her for my Gracie Law at one point.
And
Yep.
she's great, and she's, over the course of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., become a lot more competent to the point where she can kind of do mild combat as well. And she's the sort of person who, if there needs to be some sort of showdown, she can fight either Wang Chi or Miao Yin. She could, or both of them at the same time, and I think that she'd be able to kind of do the jumping on trampolines, kicking each other in the air kind of fight. And I thought that would be kind of fun. And she also is no stranger to posing while special effects get added to what she's doing.
For Rain, I have Michelle Yeoh.
Okay, tell us about her.
I mean, she's just looking up. She has a lot of action credits, of course. Most recently, you may have seen her as Philippa Georgiou on Star Trek Discovery. She's also apparently in Crazy Rich Asians, which I still haven't seen. Yeah, exactly. But she's been awesome for a very, very long time. She kicks a lot of ass. She's also in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon as well, and so she has great wire flying experience.
Yes,
I considered her for Lopan.
She would have been really good as Lopan.
I'm considering it. She's also good. I like her.
Yeah.
I have Louis Tan.
You mean Louis Tan, the Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat that we cast?
I guess so.
Yeah. Louis Tan's great.
I like Michelle Yeoh, though.
I like Michelle Yeoh a lot.
Sweet.
I already forgot who yours was.
Chloe Bennett.
I like either of those more than Louis Tan, and I love Louis Tan.
Let's go with Michelle Yeoh. And that brings us to Thunder. I went first for the other two. Someone else go.
I have Maggie Q.
Maggie Q.
For Thunder.
I know how to spell Maggie.
And
just the letter Q.
Yeah, it's just the letter Q.
Oh.
Yeah. Her stage name.
Well.
But, she's done a ton of shit. She's been in action stuff. She, I think, and if we're going to lead with a lady, I think she's got the street cred to be out there.
Oh, yeah, she was Nikita.
Kick some ass.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, she's a really good choice. And
I like it.
Yeah, for mine, I went with Donnie Yen, who was the Ip Man, and you may have seen him. And he was also in Rogue One. He played the blind guy in Rogue One. Yeah, he was great in that, and I think he'd be another fantastic choice.
Every time, who was the other actor you had named Donnie?
Who, me?
Yeah, it was for David Lopan. Who was your person for David Lopan?
I've forgotten already. Jackie Chan. Daniel Wu.
Every time you said Daniel Wu, I was thinking of Donnie Chen.
Donnie Yen.
Donnie Yen. Every single time, that's what I was thinking of.
I'm sure Daniel Wu would take that as a compliment.
Probably. But I just realized that I was making that mistake. Sorry about that. But yes, also good. Whoops. Also good. They're both great. My Thunder is... So one of the things they did in the original Big Trouble in Little China is they cast a bodybuilder wrestler for that role. So I did the same thing. I went and I did some research on a professional wrestler who would be able to play that role. And I found a guy named Tian Bing who...
We're in the Dave Bautista school now.
Tian Bing.
Well, if you need someone who's big to kind of be the enforcer to represent booming thunder...
Oh, he's on NXT?
And he's a little bit of a 1-for-1, and I don't know much about wrestling, so I legit don't know if he's good or not. But I thought...
If he's on NXT, got the look. If he's on NXT, I bet he's probably pretty good.
And so I thought it would be fun, because theoretically, you go the Avatar route, and both Rain, Thunder, and Lightning represent different forms of martial arts, or different forms of magic. And wrestling can be a form of martial arts. And so So for this, that's the one that I potentially could have replaced with Benedict Wong, but that I thought would be a good choice for Thunder in particular.
I like that.
So if it were me, I would do Tian Bing for Thunder and Michelle Yeoh for Rain. But who do we think would pair well with those two for Lightning?
Well, I like Chloe Bennett as Rain and Michelle Yeoh as Lightning.
Ooh.
Oh, I like that idea.
I like that too. Cool. That decides that. I love it. To make a long episode longer, the two things that we have left to do are talk about writer, director, and or writer-director.
Whoa. You didn't pick an Uncle Chu?
I didn't pick an Uncle Chu.
I picked an Uncle Chu because there's
You picked an Uncle Chu?
there's
I did not
only
pick an
one
Uncle Chu.
choice for an Uncle Chu, and it's James Hong.
All right.
James Hong has to come back.
Yeah, James Hong has to show up
Yeah.
somewhere.
Because I didn't choose Dennis Dunn because I did consider him for some other choices before, but I was like, I think I only want to have one cameo from the original movie, and James Hong, whom I was surprised to discover is still alive, and still,
I thought he was dead.
Yeah,
I thought he was dead.
my God, he is so prolific, and he's
like
still
almost
prolific.
90.
Yeah, he is. Let's
He's
see,
89 years old.
yeah, and so if we're gonna get him in, we got to get him in right now.
Done.
right.
Done.
Yeah. So
As of the recording of this episode, the ideal casting for Uncle Chu is James Hong. Great. That's awesome. All right, so let's talk. The hardest time I had with anyone in this list was the writer.
Yeah.
Because it had to be someone who could handle magical realism and action and Chinese culture. And so I dug, and I have a backup, but I also wanted to find someone who was Chinese or of Chinese descent or somehow connected to that culture. And the writer I found is a writer named Leia Fong, and she has written on The Magicians and Emerald City and Once Upon a Time, and that is who I thought would be the best writer. My backup is a writer named Kato Shimizu. She isn't of Chinese descent, but she's a huge comic book nerd. She's written for the Arrowverse. She wrote Being Human. She's had a bunch of other jobs in the industry to the point where she'd probably be able to be a good director for the special effects. But Leia Fong was my pick for writer.
Okay. I went with writer-director combos.
Oh, great. Love it.
Yeah, I had two because one of them I'm already using, actually, because he's already directed and written for himself. I actually went with Stephen Chow again.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
But if you thought that was a cop-out, I also considered Taika Waititi, which just somebody offhand who has great comedy and action experience.
Makes sense in my brain.
Yeah.
Taika Waititi was also on my... I'm torn, right? So, like, for writing... I was really torn between a lot of choices. So I think even though he's not of Chinese descent, I think Taika Waititi would be my writer.
Okay.
For this, just because he has that super weird sensibility, and now for sure that we've seen Thor Ragnarok, that he really understands, and having been a victim of the Green Lantern movie. He understands like that wild, magical but still grounded. How to do that?
Yeah. How far is too far? Where to go? How to draw the line? But also make sure it's good.
Is that a question
No,
or
that's a statement. That's
okay.
what he does. Because Green Lantern is too far into Crazy Town, and
he was just to be fair, he was just in the movie. Like he wasn't like. I think he learned a lot.
He saw it on the ground floor.
Yeah, I think he's like, oh, okay. When I make Thor Ragnarok, even though no one knows I'm going to do Thor Ragnarok yet,
but trust me, it'll happen.
We're not doing this. we're gonna take all the good things, but have better special effects.
I like it.
I had a 12-year-old kid tell me that he didn't like Green Lantern. I'm like, you're the audience.
Yeah, you're who it's for.
They made it for you.
They have a Hot Wheel car in it on a track.
Anyway, so
but you have him as just the writer.
Just the writer, because I have somebody else in mind for director. I mean, he easily could be writer director.
Okay, but Justus, you have him as writer director.
I have him as writer director. Aside from Stephen Chow.
Yeah, only because I just want to throw another name in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So then, before we land on that, tell me who you had as your director.
Well, if I'm doing a separate director, I'm going
director.
with Justin Lin.
Okay, great.
Yeah, good choice.
Yep.
I was torn though between Justin Lin and Daniel Kwan,
who I have because Robert looked at my sheet of paper and cheated.
But I mean, Justin Lin, like the team of Taika and Justin, I think would be just a really interesting.
For people who aren't necessarily aware, what are some other things Justin Lin has
done? Justin Lin has directed the Star Trek movies, like the latest installment of Star Trek movies, and Fast and the Furious. So he is no stranger to big action, explosive set pieces. So I think the combination of that kind of vision with kind of the comedic groundedness of Taika Waititi's writing, I think could make for like a very interesting movie.
I agree with that. I had Daniel Kwan, or I wrote Dan Kwan, Daniel Kwan, whatever he prefers. Because he, again, is of Chinese descent, but he also is the director of Swiss Army Man.
Yeah.
And Swiss Army Man is great.
Oh my God.
I literally wrote down Swiss Army Man, magical realism, like, what?
Yeah, and if you want somebody who wants to do something as crazy as possible, you could really swing. Swiss Army Man is swinging for the fences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Swiss Army Man is swinging for the fences, but it does so in a subtly comedic way instead of an over-the-top comedic way. The problem is Justin Lin isn't necessarily a comedic director. But I feel like if he has a comedic script, he could be. And I kind of agree with you guys. I like the pairing of Taika Waititi and I just blanked on the name that I just said.
Justin Lin?
Thank you, Justin Lin. Wow. As much as I love Dan Kwan, and I think Swiss Army Man is amazing, I think it's the wrong kind of magical realism comedy just based on what you two have been saying. So I would go with your pairing of Taika Waititi and
you were saying, Justice, you would be Taika Waititi writer and director, right?
That was my initial thing, but I didn't think of Justin Lin, and I think he's a great option for directing.
So I can only how big would that movie be?
I mean, this movie was so big in its time. I think that it should be even more equally
Bigger
big.
Trouble in Little China.
So yeah, let's do that. Let's do Taika Waititi and Justin Lin.
Yeah.
And another script falls to the Taika Waititi in Ideal Remake.
I mean, I just want to hear what he writes. He's really funny.
Yeah. Take that, Ghost.
Piss off, Ghost.
Yeah. All right, so let me take you through our cast.
Yeah.
So, playing the role of Jack Burton, we have Channing Tatum. Playing Gracie Law, we have Brenda Song. Wang Chi is Harry Shum Jr. Miao Yin is Michelle Ang, who we all discovered today. David Lopan is Stephen Chow. Egg Shen is Dennis Dunn. Margot is going to be Mindy Kaling. Eddie is Manny Jacinto. Thunder is going to be Tian Bing. Rain is going to be Chloe Bennett. Lightning is Michelle Yeoh. Uncle Chu will be James Hong, so we got to start production right now. Our writer is going to be Taika Waititi, and our director is going to Justin Lin. And that is 2018's Big Trouble in
Little China. We did really well at that.
I don't know how we feel about that. We all made faces.
Oh, man.
Awesome. How do you guys feel about it? Would you go see this movie?
Well, of course I would. I'm the one that likes it.
But here's the thing. It's another one of those movies that I think is perfect for the show because there's definitely something there. We just have to do it now instead of in the past.
Yeah.
And I'm very interested, like, if this sequel, I guess is the best way to phrase it, that Dwayne Johnson...
It's called Ideal Remake. Oh, no, the one they're actually making.
The one that Dwayne Johnson is making.
Bigger Trouble in Littler China?
Whatever it's going to be. If it actually gets off the ground and happens, I'm just really interested to see, like, what elements of the story that they felt were critical to make another film.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, of course they're going to listen to this and get all their best ideas.
Yeah.
They should, and I would love a story by credit. All right, so Justus, tell us where people can find you on the internet and anything you'd like to plug.
Right now, you can probably the best place to find me is popping up in the background of lots of review videos, mobile technology review videos. Go to youtube.com/themrmobile, and make sure you smash that subscribe button. Woohoo! Like and subscribe. Also, I'm going to be appearing on another podcast pretty soon called A Star to Steer Her By, which is a Star Trek podcast. I've been on a previous episode where we talked about an episode called, of course, Justus, and yeah, and that episode is terrible. The episode that we'll be talking about in the future is actually really good. It's an episode called Darmok. So if you like Star Trek, definitely subscribe to A Star to Steer Her By. It's really a really great, really funny podcast.
Say the name of the podcast slower.
A Star to Steer Her By.
A Star to Steer Her By. Yes. Okay, got it.
I'm a fast talker. I come from the East Coast.
It's great. So, but do you want people to follow you on Twitter or Instagram, you personally?
Yeah, you can. It's on Twitter, I'm Herobotic, HEROBOTIC. On Instagram, I'm the same thing, except it's ICK at the end, because I used to have the original one, shut down my Instagram for a bit, and then popped it back up and couldn't get the same name.
Weird.
Yeah.
Robert.
My website is robertpaterno.com.
Will you spell Paterno?
P as in Peter, A, T as in Tom, E, R, N as in nurse, O. No relation to Joe Paterno, before you ask. Instagram and Twitter at Robert_Paterno, same spelling. And, I'm in commercials sometimes or whatever. So, like...
Can verify this
not,
is true.
Not that you can see my face right now. So... You wouldn't know that anyway, even if you had.
Yeah, but as soon as they go to your website, they'll be like, oh, yeah,
like,
that guy.
Oh, yeah, I remember that guy, kind of. I was watching Hulu, and then I had to wait. Fuck
that guy. I just sat there staring angrily at the screen. It's this guy's fault.
Fuck that guy. Yeah, that's me. And, I do a lot of theater around Los Angeles, so if you're local, go see a play, even if I'm not in it.
Always a good idea.
Period.
Yeah, I've had a couple theater people on as guests, and I like doing that. If you're interested in following the podcast, we'd love to have you. On Twitter, we're at Ideal Remake. On Instagram, we're at Ideal Remake. And you can always go on Facebook to Ideal Remake Podcast or the Ideal Remake page, and you can like us there, or you can follow us on any social media, and we'd really appreciate it. Rate, review, subscribe. All those really help, but more importantly, tell a friend if you enjoy what we're doing. And if you've been listening to this for 2 hours,
yeah.
You do. Please tell a friend, because we really enjoy doing this, and I want to continue doing it, and things like that help. But if you want to find out more about me, I'm at Sam Gasch, SAMGASCH on the Twitters. This has been Ideal Remake. Thank you, Justus. Thank you, Robert, for being
thanks for having us.
My guests for this episode.
Yeah,
it was a great time.
I hope you had fun. And if you're tuning in now on the Squawk Box, we're going to tell you what big old Jack has to say. And then just a monster appears from behind the podcast about to kill us all.
He's all wet.
Yeah.
For some reason.
It's raining.
It's just a monster with flop sweat.